welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. I am tired. I've had a long day, but I decided I wanted to live stream because I don't know if I'll be able to tomorrow night. And if I do, it's going to be about the same time tomorrow. So, yeah, I decided to just go live. Welcome Caleb, How Close Sweet JD, Chip, Catman, and everyone else who's tuning into the live stream, maybe watching, not chatting. Glad to have you here as well. And yeah, let's dive right on into this. I have no idea if I even fixed everything or not. It looks decent enough. Let me go back over down here. My word, what a long day so far. I've been without power for it was 7 hours. 7 hours without power. Absolutely fun. I get one little rainstorm, it knocks out my power for 7 hours. That's what I get for wishing for storms all these years, huh? Well, anyways, we are going to be talking about the expected Hurricane Beryl, of course, as y'all know. It's now expected to impact Texas. Here's the latest everything. We have the latest wind field out here. It is a very weak tropical storm currently. It's down to 65 miles per hour, and I think this is going to be pretty much the weakest we see it. They have it going down to 60 tonight. It's probably already at 60, to be honest with you. And it should stay a tropical storm all the way up until very last second, just east of Texas, east of Mexico, southeastern portion of Texas. We do have wind shear in place. There is wind shear that is in place generally in this area at about 30 to 40 knots. And since Beryl isn't its barreling Category 5 hurricane anymore, it's going to most likely be susceptible to that wind shear that is out there. So it'll most likely stay a tropical cyclone, tropical storm, moving back on northwest as a tropical storm. And then right as it gets towards just parallel, really just to the east of the border of Mexico and Texas, it should actually intensify rapidly, maybe even getting to Category 3 intensity. There is the potential for Category 3 intensity, depending on exactly how far to the northeast this storm goes. So if it say it takes this exact track, it will probably reach a high-end Category 1, but there's a lot of ensembles that are pointing it up towards Houston, and if that happens, what it's going to do is it's going to go around that wind shear. So that pocket of wind shear is like right here. So if it just can move up and northeast of that wind shear around it, it's going to have longer time over that Gulf of Mexico. So however long it has over that Gulf of Mexico will determine however intense the hurricane is. That's really what it's going to be. So yeah, welcome Inri, welcome Indiana. I also saw Sam in here. Glad to see you guys all in here. I know it's a bit of a later live stream, so I appreciate you guys coming in here. It was either do the live stream now at 10:25, 10:30 Eastern, or get up at 7:30 and do the live stream. So I chose the one that I would most likely actually be awake for, which was this one. So yeah, main potential with this storm, we're looking at the potential for significant damaging winds. Of course, we could have upwards of sustained wind speeds. At least what's forecasted currently, I believe, is 80 miles per hour. If we take a look at actually, yeah, it's up to 90 now, 90 at landfall. So between 90 and 95 mile per hour sustained wind speeds will be a possibility. We'll also have, of course, your storm surge. That will be an issue. The storm surge watches out. Ignore the times because those times don't matter. They don't matter. This is going to be upgraded to a warning sometime tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. We're going to have hurricane warnings and storm surge warnings that are put out. The potential for 5, if not potentially even greater than that, foot storm surge will be a possibility. A tornado outbreak is actually on the table with this hurricane, depending on how it interacts with land and what portion hits where. We may be looking at the potential for a considerable tornado outbreak with this system, depending on how it makes landfall. We're going to have to wait for our CAM models, like the really the HRRR, to determine how big that tornado threat may be. There's already a day 3 marginal risk out for the potential of tornadoes out here. If we take a look, you can see that quite large day 3 marginal risk. This will definitely be upgraded to a slight risk by the time we get to day 1 if this system manages to make landfall in Texas, like we're forecasting, and as well as a hurricane. So we'll keep an eye on that. We also have a day 3 slight back up towards Oklahoma and Kansas. I haven't really looked into that. Last time I checked, it was a big damaging wind back potential. Let's see if it still looks that way. Yeah, it definitely does. Depending, yeah, that's probably gonna go enhanced out there in Oklahoma. Looks like the potential for some big time hailers. Whoa. Ah, interesting. A trough is actually present with that. That might actually be a very notable tornado threat west of Norman and OKC. That's going to be a day to watch. That might be our first big day for severe weather in a while. Minus the one that we had 2 days ago. But yeah, a first real severe weather day, so we'll keep an eye on that very closely. I was looking at the HRRR Catman. How populated is the coast where it's supposed to make landfall? So we should have generally around 5 million people affected by the direct landfall in terms of the eye wall. Now, the eye wall is probably going to get about 5 million people as well. So a lot of people will be impacted by this. I don't know how many people are inside those watches and warnings. But at this point, just a lot of watches. There's no warnings, but they will be upgraded to warnings. These are always upgraded to warnings, y'all. Just keep in mind, whenever you have hurricane watches out, they are nearly always upgraded. Now, the only time they've never been upgraded before, for instance, we'll go back to what we had here. Remember, our hurricane was going just south of Haiti and near Jamaica and almost made landfall in Jamaica. We had tropical storm warnings out for Haiti, but we also had hurricane watches out for Haiti because we were unsure the northern extent of those hurricane force wind speeds. Those never got upgraded to hurricane warnings because guess what? The wind speeds never reached up to Haiti. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on this very, very closely. There's no day 4 through 8 outlooks for severe weather. So honestly, after Beryl, we should probably be inactive. I definitely don't want to say quiet, but probably at least a bit inactive in terms of activity. Definitely not much to watch in the Atlantic. And yeah, there's no solid signals for severe weather. Wow. I think this is the first time in the last 6 or 7 months I haven't seen orange on the GEFS ensembles. I don't see any significant severe weather episodes in the near future or anything that looks remotely concerning. Wow. That has got to be the most perfect inactive model run I've ever seen. Look at this. All the way from just after Beryl, so July 9th, July 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, all inactive weather. No troughs, nothing digging in the U.S., just a full break. Now, we will have a pressure that sets up over the eastern seaboard, the eastern U.S., so if you are out here, that is going to lead to the potential of very, very rainy and flash flood potential training thunderstorms out there. So if you had any outdoor plans like I did, should have finished them 3-4 days ago because from here on out, it just looks like rain for the next 2 weeks out here in Virginia, North Carolina. We went from 3, almost 4 weeks without rainfall to now forecast is 3 to 4 weeks straight of rainfall. So let me go ahead and just show you guys some model runs here. Over the last 24 hours, we've had a big uptick in model run certainty, not uncertainty, but certainty, thanks to this system and exactly where it's made landfall. We did have a worst case scenario out here in the Yucatan Peninsula in terms of where it was making landfall. Now, I didn't hear much about impacts in the Yucatan Peninsula, but it did hit the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. So what that's going to allow for is a more northern track in the Gulf of Mexico, which is why our cone of uncertainty shifted all the way from, I mean, last time I saw you guys, it was what, right here? Right here we were expecting landfall. Now it's all the way up in Corpus Christi. And I told you guys when I last saw y'all over 2 days ago now, not to pay close attention to that cone because it was going to change, and it definitely changed. We're probably still going to see some adjustments here, but we shouldn't have any major adjustments. We might see this little icon here or this icon here get upped to a 2. So we could have the potential for a Category 2 hurricane on the table with this system here. This is the HWRF model, and like I said, should remain very disorganized up until Really, as it's approaching Texas, look at how it changes here on the 7th. We go from a very disorganized hurricane on this model run to a very full-fledged eye wall and really, really crazy hurricane here on the H-Wharf model. So that would be a stage of rapid intensification. I think H-Wharf makes landfall at a high-end Cat 2, low-end Cat 3. I'll just go briefly check for y'all. H-Wharf is going to show, well, this says low-end Cat 1, but that's the old H-Wharf. So let me go to the newer H-Wharf model run here. Yeah, you'd be looking at a Category 3, a solid tier Category 3, millibars down to the 960s. So you'd actually be looking at a solid tier Category 3 hurricane there on approach to Corpus Christi. And again, look how much further east this is. So if this actually makes direct landfall on Corpus Christi, it will probably be pushing Category 2, mid-tier Category 2 intensity. If this goes towards like Houston, if for some reason it goes towards Houston, that would be a very much worst case scenario. The more northeast this moves, the worse it will be. So if this goes right towards, say it goes for our original forecast, right? It goes right for Mexico. It would most likely be a borderline low-end Category 1 hurricane. If it goes to Corpus Christi, it's probably going to be pushing Cat 2. If it goes to where the H-Wharf has, it's going to be pushing Category 3, and it could even be a high-end Cat 3 if we go towards Houston, which is a very unrealistic possibility at this point. It doesn't really look all that likely that we'll see a landfall in Houston. That would be a very rare and definitely not likely scenario that we see Houston take an eye wall impact from this hurricane. I know some newer ensemble data like the European ensemble showed that a direct landfall for Houston. Let me go to the 12Z here. What are these? Oh, these are not the European ensembles. I was like, these are not what I saw earlier this morning. Yeah, so here's your European ensembles. Still quite a bit of uncertainty in the exact track. But actually, this really doesn't show that it cares. You can see a lot of pink and reds in here, regardless of how far east it is. You even have some oranges and even some pinks out here if this system were to go west of Corpus Christi. And then, like I said, worst case scenario, this heads up towards Houston is probably a very strong hurricane. So this is really going to be a last-second call. This is going to be a last-second call. So if you're in anywhere from eastern Houston all the way down to the southern tip of Texas, even into northeastern Mexico, I would be preparing for potential major hurricane impacts there all along this Gulf coastline here. I would prepare for Category 3 intensity impacts because it's a possibility. Now, it's definitely not in the forecast at this point. We're forecasting a Cat 1, but it is going to be a possibility that we could see upwards of a Category 3 hurricane make landfall anywhere from let's see, eastern Houston near, I would say as far east as Port Arthur, between Port Arthur, Galveston. That's like the furthest east it could go, all the way down south towards northeastern Mexico, out there towards the southern tip of Texas as well. So if you're in that cone, anywhere here, prepare for Category 3 intensity wind speeds. That's wind speed sustained wind speeds of 115 with gusts of 130 miles per hour. Prepare for that worst case scenario and hope for the best case scenario, because you don't want to wake up Monday morning and then figure out, oh crap, this thing's a Category 3. You would rather, if for some reason you're not prepared at all, you would rather be prepared the night before. Say, I don't know, Sunday night, you prepare for a Category 3 hurricane, and then the forecast is calling for a Cat 1. You wake up, and boom, it's a Cat 3. You're ready for that. You were ready for that big jump in the forecast. That's what we saw with it earlier over here. Let me show you this. It went from a tropical storm to a Category 4 in the matter of 24 hours. Now, I don't think it will do that in the Gulf thanks to wind shear. We actually do have wind shear in place out here, and at least some wind shear will be backing it off a bit. But again, you want to prepare for that worst case scenario. I mean, Galveston, you're not even in those watches just yet out there in Texas. So I'm not trying to hype this up. I'm just trying to say prepare for the worst case scenario just in case. We're forecasting a category 1, but these hurricanes very frequently perform over the forecast. For instance, Otis last year. We also have. I mean, geez, even the most recent, or last year, I should say, the most recent landfalling Cat 3, Cat 4. Oh my word, what was it? I don't remember your name. I don't remember your name. It was that difficult one to get a grasp on that hit the panhandle of Florida. I forgot its name. But that one was originally forecasted to be a Cat 1 at landfall, ended up being a Category 3 at landfall. So that one was a lot higher than anticipated. It's not Ian, that's for sure. Ian was down here. Ian was 2022. This was 2023, which I can't remember it. I can't remember. It definitely started with an I. Definitely started with an I. This year's hurricane that starts with an I is Isaac. Adalia, yeah, that one. Yep, that one. That one, Adalia. That was forecasted to be a Cat 1 at landfall. It rapidly intensified from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4, and then weakened just slightly on the shoreline to a high-end Cat 3 and made landfall. This could do the similar case. You know, we're forecasting a Cat 1. It could rapidly intensify into a low-end, mid-tier Category 3 hurricane. So I don't see this hitting Cat 4 unless some horrific scenario manages to play out where that wind shear just poof disappears. I don't think that's possible. But like I said, a Category 3 hurricane will at least be something that you want to keep in mind. You want to prepare for a Cat 3 just in case. Again, the forecast, I want to make that clear. We're forecasting a Category 1 hurricane. So we're forecasting a Category 1. That's the most likely scenario, is a high-end Category 1 hurricane. But we could see, again, worst case scenario, a Category 3 somewhere in this area. The forecast is not set in stone either. Look how large this cone is. A very, very large cone here in terms of where this system could make landfall. Again, all the way from near Beaumont back out west towards northeastern Mexico. Now, this portion of the cone, that's actually for the depression, but we could still see a low pressure go that far east. I just think it's nearly impossible. I mean, we would have to have a sharp turn. This thing would be going northwest, and then just a almost, what, like a 45-degree turn, 60-degree turn up to the northeast like that. And I just don't see that being a possibility. Now, a gradual turn where this thing just slowly turns up towards Houston, that's on the table. That is on the table. So again, I want to give you guys the most likely case scenario and also the worst case scenario, because you want to prepare for that worst case scenario and then hope for the best case scenario. Or, you know, unfortunately, the most likely scenario here is a Cat 1, so that's still, you know, that's an issue. And of course, the category does matter, but even if this makes landfall as just, as Twitter likes to call it, just a Category 1 hurricane, it's still going to cause issues. We're going to have the potential for a tornado outbreak. We're going to have the potential for 5-foot storm surge. We're going to have the potential for a widespread catastrophic flash flooding. We're going to have the potential for damaging and significant damaging winds sustained at 80 to 90 miles per hour. And that's just if it's a Cat 1, you know, if it's just a Cat 1 per se. You know, if this gets to Cat 3, we could be talking about, and we will be talking about, a lot worse impacts if it manages to push Category 3 intensity. So again, here's your ensembles. These are like a bunch of different model runs with a bunch of different scenarios. Now, I do want to look. Let's zoom out. So Hurricane Beryl is currently located, let's see, kind of on the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. So right here. Excuse me. Another one? My sneezes have been crazy today, y'all. Allergies have been wild because of the rain. Welcome, Pete. Glad to see you in here. Calvin as well. Jan, Nola, welcome to the stream. Hopefully I don't sneeze anymore. We've just had our first rain in like a month, so it just stirred up a bunch of dust and pollen. Absolutely horrific. So as I was saying, let's just go back to this. I'm trying to figure out exactly where this is. So there's the bump. There's the bump. So it's right in the middle. So kind of our middle ensembles right here. Now let's zoom out. So follow those middle ensembles, which you're going to lose them. But that's going to take it generally up towards this area here. I want to zoom in right in the middle. That's going to take it right here. So that is... Let me get rid of all these overlays. My word, I can't see a thing. That's like... Geez, that's pretty far east. That's in between Corpus Christi and Houston, which is currently not the forecast. Go back over to the tropical outlook here. Yeah, so the most common, the average between the ensembles is a landfall right here. National Hurricane Center has landfall barely able to see it on your screen right down there. I will not sneeze into the mic. Nope. The only time I've ever done that is if it catches me completely off guard. Which I don't think I've ever done that before. Oh, we have a severe watch? Nobody told me about this. Just for some wind and hail. No biggie. No big deal there. Hold on. Let me just live stream. Back 5 minutes. Yeah, we just got tropical storm, not tropical storm, hurricane watches and storm surge watch into Houston. Yep, those are new. Those are new. So there you go. There's your storm surge watch now goes into the bay in southeast of Houston. And your hurricane watches go up towards Lake Jackson. That is your 11 o'clock advisory. That's your 11 o'clock advisory. Let me go look at that. Yep. Galveston Bay, 4-foot storm surge possible. Yep, we got those watches all the way up to the northeast, and... No way. Hold on. Did they just move that too? I swear that was way more to the west. They did! They're watching the live stream. They just moved that over to the east, exactly where we were talking about with the European ensembles. We were just moments ago, the landfall was expected to be here. Now they moved it up here. So exactly what we were talking about. See, there it goes. It's back to where it was before. That's the old forecast. Did you see it? It just changed again. Oh, there it is. That's a newer one. Wow, that's crazy. I swear, sometimes I feel like they're actually watching the live stream. Because right when we mention it, boom, they do the update and do exactly what we talked about. That's crazy. I want to go over to the National Hurricane Center advisories here. Beryl is down to 60-mile-an-hour winds. So that's the lowest I think we're ever going to see Beryl. It's going to slowly climb and then rapidly climb. So see that phase of rapid intensification? We go from, let's see, this is a 24-hour span from 70-mile-an-hour winds to 90. It would have to be 35-mile-an-hour winds to be defined as rapid intensification. But that's still pretty solid intensification there. I don't think we didn't get any warnings out. There's no warnings out, so we now have tropical storm watches all the way from Lake Jackson, west of Galveston, all the way down to the southern tip of Texas. So there you go. Almost all the way up to Beaumont, which is what we were talking about before with the potential of a more eastward track there. So, yeah, they've coordinated for that potential. And, yeah, now your cone also goes out that way as well. So now you can see it looks like they're talking about, or at least leaving room for the potential of that low pressure to possibly go as far east as Galveston and southeastern Houston for landfall. Also, something to note is the cone doesn't show impacts. It shows where the low pressure could track. So if our low pressure tracks directly in the middle of this cone, impacts will be felt probably in the majority of that cone. not much outside of it. But say our low pressure tracks on the edge of that cone, impacts will be felt outside of that cone. So keep that in mind. The cone doesn't show the impacts. It's just where the eye of the hurricane could track. Yeah, it's a much larger cone. It is, especially as you go on land. Typically, when you have these big cones on land, your low pressure is going to just dissipate in the middle of it. So this is just tropical depression. I can't wait to see Beryl dissipate. That is going to be a God-given miracle right there. And I don't think, yeah, we don't have any other AOIs to watch still. There's nothing else of interest out there. We did actually get our first name system in the Eastern Pacific. We got Tropical Storm Aletta. I probably butchered that. In the EPAC, that's the first name storm in the EPAC there. So that did form like we were talking about 5 days ago. I think was the last time I mentioned the potential for a tropical storm out there. And that did happen. Let's see. Yeah, that wind field is tiny. That is a tiny wind field there. Just to think that wind field was ginormous back towards Jamaica. So this storm is weakened gradually. And very gradually. The Yucatan Peninsula is what's going to be our saving grace here. But again, if you're anywhere in this cone here, if you're on the shoreline of this cone, which this now barely even includes the northeastern tip of Mexico. You want to have preparations in place immediately. Preparations should be finished, keyword finished, by tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's 1 p.m. Central. Your preparations for the potential of upwards of a Category 3 hurricane should be finished by tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Did I say 2 p.m.? Yeah, 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Now, the worst case scenario, like I said, is a Category 3 hurricane. Your most likely case scenario is a Cat 1. Your best case scenario, like if we had the absolute best case scenario out of all the model runs, it would be a tropical storm. However, that seems very unlikely. There's a really high chance we're going to see at least a mid-tier Category 1 hurricane. What that means is storm surge, anywhere between 2 to 5 foot storm surge, anywhere from those hurricane watches up to the storm surge watch areas, which includes almost the entire coastline of Texas, with the exception of south of Port Arthur, out there south of Beaumont, Texas. Again, we're also looking at the potential for a tornado outbreak out of this. We're also looking for the potential of wind gusts, at least forecasted at the moment, wind gusts upwards of 110 miles per hour. So a lot of impacts, Hurricanes don't just bring rain, especially if we get one this intense. We'll be looking at tornadoes, significant damaging winds, storm surge, potentially catastrophic flash flooding. The National Weather Service in San Antonio mentioned the potential for, I believe it was San Antonio, mentioned the potential for 15 inches of rainfall along the coastline towards Corpus Christi. I believe that's going to be actually Corpus Christi's National Weather Service. Let me go look. Yeah, Corpus Christi is the one who said that. Got my jurisdiction mixed up there. Their local hurricane statement said, let me read it. The coastal plains areas will have isolated amounts possible up to 15 inches of rainfall. So that's a lot of rain. That is a lot of rain. Prepare for dangerous and possible significant impacts along coastal areas. Moderate rainfall will prompt several evacuation rescues being needed. So make sure you're heeding those advice from your local officials. If you're being told to evacuate, even though this is forecasted to be a Cat 1, you may be told to evacuate. Make sure you heed those evacuation orders, as it's extremely, extremely important. Once again, we'll also be talking about the potential for upwards of a Category 3 hurricane. So, like I said, you want to prepare for that worst case scenario. I feel like a lot of models are underdoing the potential for a Cat 3 here. But we'll just see. We'll see. I'm really hoping that it will be... I hope it would be a depression, but That's very unlikely, so let's just hope it's a lot more weaker than anticipated. But I doubt that. You know, we know Beryl by now, right? We know Beryl by now. Whenever you forecast it's going to be weaker, it ends up being considerably stronger. The NAM 3K is crazy. Look at this. The NAM shows a full-fledged, that's got to be at least a Category 2. At least a Category 2. This is the new NAM 3-kilometer model run. A Cat 5? What? That is crazy. I knew the NAM was crazy, but my word. Yeah, we should probably throw this one out. Look at that. Wow. Wow. I don't know what in the world the NAM is doing with that. That is the first model run I have ever seen showing a Cat 5 here. This is the first model run I've even seen show a Cat 4, and it's actually a Cat 5. The highest I've seen is a mid-tier Category 3 Hurricane with like a millibar of 960. The NAM 3K is showing a 920. What, 929? 929. I don't know why the heck it shows that. The NAM loves to do that, but I mean, it shows a perfectly good case of what I was talking about with rapid intensification. It's just very over the top with it. Like, don't even listen to it over the top, but this is what I was talking about with rapid intensification being possible. You go from a very disorganized tropical storm, and then once it gets out of that wind shear, Sunday at 2 p.m., there's nothing stopping it, and it rapidly intensifies into a Category 5 hurricane on the NAM 3K. It goes from tropical storm to Cat 5 in 12 hours. 12 hours you go from tropical storm to Cat 5 on the NAM 3K. That's nearly impossible. So, yeah, this would be your utmost worst case scenario, but I don't even find this being really a possibility. I just had to check. Did it drop any snow? Hold on. Any snow? Sometimes the NAM will flop like snow in the middle of Oklahoma. So I just had to see if it did that real quick. I don't see it. I want to see the temperature of that, by the way. So please don't take the NAM 3K seriously. It's just horrific. I don't think we've ever had the NAM be correct before. I think that's impossible. I'm shocked with that. But then again, it is the NAM. A Cat 5, you say? So, most likely scenarios, a Category 1 hurricane making landfall pretty much right where the NAM 3K is showing it. I mean, that is a really good track. That is really our most likely scenarios, a landfall right here at Category 1 intensity. 1 intensity. Now, Cat 5, no. I don't think that's even on the table, period. Now, if some other models start hinting at that, I would be starting to be a little skeptical of it, but yeah, no. I would not listen to that whatsoever. So again, prepare for the worst case scenario, which is, in my opinion, a Category 3. If you live anywhere here, prepare for a Category 3 hurricane. I feel like that's the most high end that we're going to see out of this. Most likely is a Category 1 hurricane, a mid-tier Cat 1 with sustained winds of around 90, 95 miles per hour. Maybe pushing a low-end Category 2 hurricane. And then again, the high end, I believe, is a mid-tier Cat 3 with winds around 120. I think that will be the maximum we see. Unless we see that wind shear deteriorate rapidly a lot sooner. But it's going to have this short window. Sunday afternoon. I mean, once you hit noon on Sunday, it's going to have this window right here. It's going to have this about 24-ish hour window. And whatever it can do in that window is going to be the time to watch and the time to keep a very, very close eye on it. And that's what's going to impact the forecast, which for some reason, again, the NAM shows a Cat 5. Our more accurate hurricane model runs that have actually, this is one of our best model runs that have nailed Beryl almost perfectly. Shows about a mid-tier category 3 hurricane, about the same spot again as the NAM 3K. So I think that's your worst case scenario, honestly. This paints it pretty perfectly with what I think is the worst case scenario and what I believe is what you should be preparing for. You should prepare for this scenario to occur anywhere from, like I said, south of Beaumont all the way down to northeastern Mexico. The most likely scenario, again, is a landfall right here at Category 1 intensity, but I want to make sure, prepare for that worst case scenario for Cat 3, making landfall right over your house if you live anywhere from south of Beaumont down south here towards northeastern Mexico, and hope for that best case scenario of a tropical storm. But we'll see. I just, if I live in this area, I would be preparing for a Cat 3. Because I know the history of these storms. It's never a good sign when we get a storm in the Gulf. The National Hurricane Center typically, will typically go like Category 1 intensity. And then by the time it makes landfall, it's Cat 4. So, I just would not, rule out a Category 3 by any means with this. Especially the newer data today. Just the combination of the more northern track, the well-defined core of the hurricane. I think it's going to come down to what we see on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. And we will be live Sunday afternoon. We'll most likely be live right around, if I have time for it, which I hope I will. I should. The 2 p.m. advisory Sunday. I want to go live for the 2 p.m. advisory on Sunday. And especially the 5 p.m. The 5 p.m. is a whole heck of a lot more important. So definitely going to aim to be live at 5 p.m. Sunday. Tomorrow, I don't know if I have time, which is why I went live tonight. So I appreciate all y'all being in here. We'll be doing coverage on this hurricane when it makes landfall, most likely, depending on if it's overnight or not. But we'll see. I'm trying to hold back a sneeze. We'll see. Currently, let me go look at the time frame. They're looking at landfall being Monday afternoon. That'd be perfect. I would love that. Monday afternoon at 1 p.m. Oh my goodness, that'd be a great time frame for our live stream. Where are you, Storm? Also, I saw you got on Outbreak about 15 minutes ago. Of it moving west, I don't see it moving west as much as I do east. I actually haven't really even thought of accounting for that. But I really just see it moving more east, east, east. I don't really see any ensembles hinting towards like Mexico being landfall potential anymore. And again, that's because we had that worst case scenario I was talking about. This storm made landfall like right here-ish. Let me see. Yeah, see, it made landfall right here, which was like the worst case scenario for the U.S. because that would lead it more to the north and northeast. So it's like not even in the question for a Mexico landfall anymore. We're really setting in stone a Texas landfall now. Now it's just the question of will we see rapid intensification of Category 3 intensity? Let's see. Louisiana, I wouldn't fully rule out a Southwest Louisiana landfall, but that'd be really rare. I don't think I've seen any models showing that. Yeah, I really don't see that being a a possibility, but you know, I wouldn't completely throw it in the trash can. So I would prepare. You know, if I'm in Lake Charles, this area here, you're not in any watches, but I would prepare for the potential of a hurricane landfall, just in case. You know, it's always best to be better safe than sorry. I mean, imagine the panic. Like, just say you go to sleep Saturday, you're not expecting anything. Sunday, boom, the National Hurricane Center is talking about a hurricane hitting Louisiana. Imagine the storms, not the storms, imagine the stores, the gas stations, and everything in Louisiana. So I would prepare, get ahead of the potential crowd if I'm out there. Because, you know, if that happens to occur, which again, I don't really think it will, but just in case, you'll be ready for it. The most likely scenario is a Category 1 hurricane making landfall east of Corpus Christi. So moving up just like this, hitting Corpus Christi, and then curving out towards Arkansas, northwest Louisiana. Now, I will show this. Here's their flood outlook on the day 5 here, day 5 outlook. There's a big slight risk. So this system's going to impact a lot of states. It's not just a one and done ordeal here. We have the potential for significant flash flooding starting as early as day 3, which is, if it loads, there you go. Day 3, which I can't even tell what that is. Let's see, today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So as early as Sunday, we could have significant flooding occurring in that yellow area on the coastline. And then as we go into Monday, look at that. It goes a lot more inland Monday. And look how far inland Tuesday is. Boom. You're in Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana. Almost the whole state of Louisiana is under some risk for flooding. The whole state, with the exception of maybe 10 people at the most up here near Honey Creek Road, is under a marginal risk for flooding in Arkansas. And what that means is, so every 25 miles of a given point here in Arkansas in that green area, you have at least a 5% chance of flash flooding occurring. The forecast for flooding, let me think, what's our more accurate one? Honestly, I've always found the GFS to not be the worst for precipitation totals, but what does the GFS show this hurricane doing? That's a big thing. A big thing is, what does the GFS show this hurricane doing? A lot more west for that track, but still, we will roll with it. So this track could be anywhere inside the slight risk area or even the marginal. So that goes all the way from Fort Worth back out towards Lafayette. So don't pay attention to the exact track. But wherever this tracks, we're looking at the potential of anywhere between 5 to 10 inches of rainfall inland. So this track could be more east towards right over some of my friends out there in Shreveport. Could be towards Monroe. Could be towards west of Baton Rouge out here. So don't pay close attention to that track. But anywhere in this slight risk area, we could see, you know, potentially upwards of, I'd say even upwards of a foot of rainfall on a given day out there, which will most likely be on the coastline. Again, Corpus Christi is calling for the potential of up to 15 inches of rainfall wherever this system makes landfall, which could range all the way from near Galveston back out towards, you know, south of Corpus Christi. Yeah, Houston. Houston could definitely get in on the potential for a foot of rainfall. It just depends on where that track goes. It just depends. If it goes 1 mile to the west of Houston, then you may not get in on nearly as much rainfall. If it goes, you know, 5 miles west of Houston, then you're going to get less rainfall. So it just depends exactly where that track is. Because you could see, look at the big drop off. Look at the drop off here. So let me go how big a mile is. So a mile. So yeah, you're going to go from, look at that, literally less than a mile, 5 inches of rainfall to 4. And then back over here from 3 to 2. So there's very sharp cutoffs. That's always how it is with hurricanes. You always have those very sharp cutoffs with precipitation totals. We don't have any here, but I'll just show you the reflectivity. So you have those, look at this. This shows a big Houston issue here. Can I show this on perhaps? Nope. Yeah, I can't show this on. What about College Due page? No. We go to rainfall, precipitation, 24-hour accumulation. Yeah, so here you go. Here's a track from the NAM. Let's go over to the NAM, the never accurate model, and just show you what we could be looking at. So it just fully depends on that track, but look at that. So this gets, you get landfall here near, Lord have mercy, unpronounceable names here. And Western Houston, 9 inches of rainfall. So it's going to depend on where that system makes landfall. And it's becoming increasingly likely that this system pushes borderline Houston. That's why you guys just got watches out there in the Galveston Bay of Houston. A hurricane warning is now out for the fishies. I just saw that. Yeah, the fishies are under a hurricane warning right now. That's like out here. There's hurricane warnings in place. I didn't even know they did that for the fishes. How nice of them. Very considerate. They're warning, they're putting hurricane warnings out for the fishes. Let me see what your, wow. Houston doesn't even have anything out for you, dude. There's nothing even, look at this. The immediate coastline has advisories and even watches out. Those are storm surge watch in this color here, hurricane watch, and then a mix between hurricane watches and storm surge watches out there. But look at Houston. There's this lack of any advisories in this whole area here. You have into the west, northwest, the north, the east, the south, but even Lake Charles doesn't have that out. I can't go to the neighboring offices from this page. Lake Charles. Yeah, Lake Charles doesn't have anything out either, which isn't too much of a shocker. But the fact that Houston has, like, nothing out regarding this hurricane. I mean, if you click on the storm surge watch, you're looking at tropical storm to hurricane force wind speeds, category 1 or 2 hurricane force. Oh, look at that. Look at that. They note it too. Category 1 or 2 hurricane force wind speeds out here for the coastline of Houston towards Galveston. So they note that potential of, hey, this might be a little stronger than forecasted. I wonder if they say that out here towards, like, Corpus Christi. Yep, category 1 or 2 hurricane force wind speeds. Uncertainty in the track size and intensity. The potential for 74 to 110 sustained wind speeds. Category 3 is 115. So they're forecasting the potential from anywhere from a low-end Cat 1 to a high-end Cat 2. 3 to 5 foot storm surge possible. And then again, if I could find it, I don't think they have it here, but they do call for the potential of 15 inches of rainfall. What am I talking about? A tornado outbreak will 100% be on the table. I know a lot of people are mentioning the potential for a considerable and a significant tornado outbreak. Now, when I think significant tornado outbreak, what goes to y'all's mind? Because when I hear the word significant mixed in with tornadoes, I think, okay, strong tornadoes. So, in that sense, no. Strong tornadoes from tropical systems are nearly unheard of, but definitely not impossible. But yes, a notable tornado outbreak is on the table from this hurricane, pending the intensity and the exact track. But yeah, it's going to be possible. We will be looking at the possibility for a notable tornado outbreak out of this storm or out of this hurricane. And honestly, this needs some crazy adjustments. I tell you, this needs some ridiculous adjustments here. Trying to get this flat out look here. So the east side of a tropical system always has the most significant tornado potential, most notable tornado potential. So if we see landfall here, the greatest tornado potential by far will be all out here on that east northeastern portion, because those rain bands will be pulled up into the shore. I don't know if the NAM's going to depict that well. It might. If I show you guys the NAM 3K, which is a convecutive allowing model run, the HRRR would be wonderful showing y'all this, but it hasn't rendered in all the way. Oh, look at that. The NAM 3K literally breaks the scale with 15 plus inches of rainfall. Doesn't even read it anymore. But yeah, see rain bands like that would be the biggest concern. If that actually occurred, we would definitely have the potential for a lot of tornadoes right here. And then that rain band would continue up to the northwest, just like so, all the way wrapping into Houston. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility for tornadoes. I'd say anywhere from possibly as far east as Port Arthur all the way back out towards Corpus Christi. This whole area. In my opinion, this marginal risk needs some big time changes. That's what's valid for, like, if this system made landfall in Mexico, this would be a good outlook. So if we had landfall here, like Tropical Storm Alberto, was it? This would be a good outlook for the tornado potential. But no, we're talking about a hurricane making landfall, if I can get up here. Right here. So take this marginal risk and just teleport the whole risk to the northeast. So you'd be looking at a risk more like this. If we just took this same marginal shape-ish and then put it over to, where we're expecting the greatest tornado potential now. So I don't really know why they have that tornado potential so far west. Oh, you know what it is? I'm stupid. That's what it is. This is Sunday. This is for Sunday, so this is a good outlook. The landfall is expected Monday, so for Sunday, yeah, see that? See that? We're expecting some western outer bands to move inland. That's really good. Okay. There you go. That makes more sense. I'm on the wrong day. So this is a good outlook. Look at the... What? What in the world? Hold on. Significant tornado parameters? None. Okay. Supercell composite? None. I'm shocked. Look at that. You can literally see the bean shape to him. That's crazy. Come on. Look at that. Yeah, no wonder why people are saying significant outbreak possible. Now, this might actually have the strong tornado potential I was talking about. Sunday might be a way crazier tornado potential. The HRRR shows nothing, though. We'll see. There's a lot of forecast uncertainties. The HRRR shows, like, nothing, whereas the NAM shows, like, the potential for multiple tornadoes, maybe even a strong one. We'll see. We will see. We'll just keep an eye on it. Wait for the newest forecast here. We just got our new National Hurricane Center outlook, so... Yeah, Netocast went 5% tomorrow in south central Nebraska. Let me go look at that. Meh. Yeah, tomorrow's a good day as well. Tomorrow and especially Sunday look pretty good for severe weather. Sunday looks really good for severe weather at the moment in Oklahoma. It wouldn't be an Oklahoma severe threat without the NAM 3K showing a derecho. Radar mega programmers got lazy. I mean, nah. Radar Mega is a good software. It just has a lot of bugs, but it's still top tier radar software easily. Sure, they're slacking a bit, but I mean, come on. You can't expect updates every last week or so, but yeah. If you guys want to, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. It helps support the channel. And we'll be live for this system making landfall, if depending on when, but most likely we will be. I want to have this showing the. Ooh, you know what? I bet College of DuPage has it. Nope. Man. What about Pivotal? Oh, you know what? You know what I've done? You know what I've done? I have just whoop, passed right by the ending stream time frame. Just passed right by it. Not even acknowledging it. Just went right by it. Oh well. So if you guys do like the content you see here, we do this gracious day. That's wild. We do this all year round regarding tropical systems. Hurricanes, of course. Also, winter storms, severe weather, tornadoes. Pretty much anything that you can track with radar, we track it. So we'll just wait and see what the rest of our National Hurricane Center updates look like from here on out. We'll wait for the newer model runs and everything over the next 48 hours to determine how big this threat may be. And of course, we'll just do nowcasting as well, where we just simply look at what it looks like now and then cast off of that. Pretty simple. Let's see, NAM3K. I'm going to zoom this right on into Texas. Trying to get a good look at this wind speeds here. Ah, shoot. They don't do like every single hour on Weather Nerds, do they? My goodness. Does this have perhaps... Oh, my word, simulated satellite? What the heck? Okay, I gotta show you guys this just for the laughs. I pray this doesn't happen. I mean, this would be wild. Hold on, I've got to just quickly do this. Alright, here's your NAM 3 kilometer, y'all. This is why we don't listen to the NAM. You see this? You see this? This is why we don't listen to the NAM model. Oh my goodness. Does this have the surface? I wish this had the surface wind speeds. That's your heights. That's your 10 meter wind speeds, but those aren't going to get you down to the surface. Man. Yeah, but there's your doomsday hurricane. There's no way this happens. This would easily shatter nearly every record. I mean, it would easily shatter like every single record for any hurricane. Especially this time of year. So, let me just show you the comparison between the NAM 3K and the GFS. Okay, that's kind of similar. I'm not really holding up my argument too well here, am I? What about the icon? Oh, what just happened? I don't know what that was. Does the wrap show it? I've never seen the wrap, honestly. I want to see the wrap here. Simulated reflectivity values. I don't think we're going to be able to go back far enough. Probably not. 39 hours out? Yeah. It's just, this is pre-rapid intensification phase right here. Oops. Lagging. Alright, let's see. What type of impacts will McAllen, Texas feel for Sunday? Let's see here. So you're definitely not in the worst area for impacts. I really don't think you'll see much. Your greatest potential is probably going to be the threat for a tornado or two Sunday afternoon. Now, the uncertainty is very high at this point, so I can't tell you how good of a chance you'll see a tornado. But a tornado threat will be present as you go from about 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, which deduct an hour, and that's Central time. So I would be just keeping an eye out for the potential of tornadoes throughout the day on Sunday and maybe even into a early portion of the night hours. But we're not expecting anything too crazy out there in your area. At the moment. Hopefully it stays that way. I don't think you'll see much. But be ready for a tornado or two, just in case, especially on Sunday. And you'll obviously have some gusty winds throughout Sunday and Monday. If it stalls out in the Gulf, will it strengthen into a major hurricane just before landfall? Actually, Conrad, it doesn't even have to stall out. We do have the potential for a major hurricane here, even if the system just keeps on going, like what, for instance, the NAM 3K, both of our major and most accurate hurricane models show. We'll have the potential for a Category 3 hurricane. That's why I said to prepare for a Cat 3 hurricane. If you live anywhere from, Corpus Christi down here-ish, all the way back up to here-ish, you should be preparing for a Category 3 hurricane just in case that worst-case scenario does happen. So if it stalls out, I can't even tell you how crazy those impacts would be. I don't think I'd be able to tell you how ridiculous it would be. Another unfortunate thing is because of the front that's going to push through thanks to our severe weather in Oklahoma, this storm is going to be a lot slower, so it's going to drop a lot of rain and have the potential for catastrophic flooding. And that could be, we have a big area of potential flash flooding here. You're looking at anywhere from Corpus Christi all the way up to almost Little Rock for the threat of flash flooding. So you have this big marginal risk. Geez, Legacy, you're in the marginal for flooding on Monday. That's crazy. Have a hurricane making landfall in Texas, and freaking Legacy in Tennessee has the potential for flooding out of it. That's wild. Let's see. We can go back over here. Okay. We'll hit Waco, Texas. Let's see. Oh, why do I not know where? There's Waco. 100%. There you go. That's your forecast. I would be blown away if you don't see at least a drizzle of rain from this system. Now, significant, definitely not. Not at all. But the potential for significant flooding is going to be present there. You could have upwards of, I don't know what they're forecasting for your area. I could check briefly. I wish I could zoom in more on this forecast. It's a very sharp cutoff line. It's a very sharp cutoff line on depending on where that front comes through. So if that line sets up here, anybody, let me show you here. It's going to be a very sharp cutoff. So say our hurricane tracks like this, right? Anyone between this very tiny corridor here That's where your catastrophic flooding could be. And it's going to be very focused corridor too. So you're going to have a drop off. This area in Waco, if for instance, if our hurricane makes landfall, moves up like this, Waco, you could end up with 8 inches of rainfall in Waco on Monday. And then off to your west towards like Gatesville, you may end up with an inch of rainfall. It's going to be a very sharp cutoff line. So it's going to be really difficult to predict exactly how much flooding you could see. Oh no, I think catastrophic storm surges it will be possible. I don't think it's expected at this point or anything like too ridiculous. In terms of ridiculous storm surge, but we could have 5-foot storm surge, maybe some local areas upwards of 6 to 7. It depends on what your definition of catastrophic is. That's what it depends. In my opinion, catastrophic storm surge is 9 plus. 9 foot plus is catastrophic. Right around there. Right around 9. Let me see what the National Hurricane Center says. Storm surge. Oh. That can't be right. Yeah, it looks like 8+ feet is catastrophic. I said 9. I think it's 8+. 8 inches of rain in Shreveport. Yeah, wouldn't shock me. Would not shock me whatsoever. I would love to see where the NAM 3K starts off Hurricane Beryl at. But unfortunately, we can't see that. I mean, the NAM 3K shows, like, it literally follows almost the exact path of what the National Hurricane Center is predicting. It literally... wow. It literally shows the exact path that the NHC is predicting. Oh, a little bit west, actually. I take that back. It actually goes a little bit more west than exactly where they're predicting. So, y'all, we just have to keep an eye on Sunday so closely. Like, Sunday between right around noon, we're going to have to just be glued to the satellite imagery. Because this storm could go from tropical storm to Category 3 in 24 hours. So we just have to look and watch it really closely Sunday. Sunday is going to be massive. Sunday into Monday will be massive. This thing looks to make landfall as early as 5 a.m. Monday morning. I pray that's not the case, because then I'm going to be a little bit in trouble there. Let's see here. So you're in a storm surge watch. So if you're on the immediate coastal areas of Baytown, let me look at the storm surge for you. Let me see how prone you are to flooding out there. To storm surge. Ooh, very prone. You are very, very prone. Especially on the, yeah, so it depends on where you live here, but if you're on the immediate coastal areas, Baytown, I would prepare for the potential of an evacuation, to be honest with you. Now, I don't think you're going to have to evacuate, but I would be ready for a Category 3 hurricane with the potential of an evacuation order for coastal areas being possible. Because storm surge is a very big deal. So if you're more inland, like say you're here in Baytown, you're probably still going to get a lot of impacts. We could have upwards of 8 inches of rainfall. let me see what else. Gusty winds, possibly, which I don't know exactly where. It's going to depend solely on when this system makes landfall and where, but probably some gusty winds, gusts upwards of 80, between 70 80 miles per hour would be possible as well, solely depending on where this system makes landfall. But my main concern would be coastal flooding thanks to storm surge. So I really don't think you need to evacuate or prepare to evacuate unless you're on the coastal areas here. So if you're on the immediate coastline, I would consider the potential for evacuation. But you should really just base those decisions off of your local officials. Ask around to your neighbors and see what they're talking about, seeing what they're thinking about, if they think about evacuating. But I mean, y'all out here in Southeast Houston, I've never experienced a hurricane, so I'm sure you guys are at least at minimum more experienced than I am. But yeah, you should have the potential, maybe even for a potential small tornado risk on Monday as well. So a lot of hazards, They will not evacuate all of Houston. That's not a possibility. Unless this does the impossible and barrels towards Houston at Cat 4-5 intensity, I don't see any mass evacuations being required. The main area that I'm worried about, to be honest with you, is this region here. That's where I'm watching the most. So just barely west of Galveston and well off to the northeast of Corpus Christi. That's where I'm watching the most at this moment, but that's probably going to change by the time we get into Sunday. So if y'all are new to the channel, consider subscribing with a notification bell set to all. We'll be live again Sunday. I don't know about tomorrow. I'm not going to plan a stream tomorrow, but I am going to be live Sunday. And pending on what this hurricane looks like, maybe Monday too. So you're out there in just west of Houston. Maybe you're out there west of Houston towards, Rosenberg area. I probably butchered that. Sorry. Significant impacts will definitely be a possibility. A couple tornadoes. Very heavy rainfall, potentially upwards of a foot of rainfall out there. Is going to be your main concern. I think flooding is going to be your biggest issue out there. And again, we really won't know your specific impacts until we figure out where this system's making landfall. So I would have preparations ongoing now. Finish those preparations by tomorrow at 2 p.m., 1 p.m. your time. Just keep a very close eye on the forecast. You're not on the coastal areas, so it shouldn't be anything ridiculous. But I would definitely be keeping an eye on it. It shouldn't be anything catastrophic. Let me put it that way. Foot of rainfall is what I would be concerned about the most. I think rain will be your biggest issue there. But you could still see damaging winds. This storm should weaken quickly, so you could still see damaging winds sustained at about 70, 80 miles per hour. So damaging winds if you have loose objects. That broken fence that's halfway bent over. Maybe time to get rid of that. But it shouldn't be nearly as significant. It's really the coastal areas that you're really going to have to worry about, which is all in here. Hurricanes weaken rapidly. They weaken rapidly. It ain't like these things are going to stay as a Category 5 over land for hours upon end. Let's see here. So yeah, we're probably about to wrap up, y'all, honestly. I hope to see some of y'all back in here Sunday. If not, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive forecasts as well. I always say this, and I will say this. Don't rely just off of me. I'm human too. Make sure you're tuning into the National Hurricane Center very frequently at, let's see, nhc.noaa.gov. Make sure you're tuning into your local National Weather Service very frequently, as well as the Weather Prediction Center. We'll show you all those outlooks here, so if you just don't want to deal with that stuff, then I'll show you all of it on Sunday. But that's the thing, you want to check it tomorrow. I'll probably make a community post tomorrow on if we're looking at a more substantial hurricane. For other updates as well, you can follow me on Twitter. First link in the description is my link tree. You can follow me on Twitter, join the Discord server. I don't really have anything planned in the Discord server, but on Twitter, I make a bunch of random posts all the time. I make random posts about crazy model runs and everything on there, so you give me a follow there as well. But here on YouTube, this is where I try to keep things professional, and I take it extremely seriously. On Twitter, it's kind of like my, it's kind of if I had a second channel for vlogging or something. It's still weather, though. It's still weather on Twitter. So, yeah. I appreciate y'all tuning in. It's fantastic to see all the people from Texas here. I really hope you're preparing. I know I'm not too over the top useful here, but I don't want to give you wrong information. I don't want to say you're going to see catastrophic damage, and then by the time it rolls around, you barely even get a gust of wind. So that's why I'm very lenient on how I forecast with these things. But I do want y'all to be ready for, a Category 3 hurricane if you live anywhere in this area here. These flashy things that you're seeing, by the way, I don't know if I explained them. So these are hurricane watches. These pink ones that are flashing, those are hurricane watches where the potential for hurricane impacts within the next 48 hours are expected. If you see these blue flashy ones, that's storm surge watch. So that means, storm surge where the ocean basically goes pushed inland, gets pushed inland is a possibility. Now, keep in mind, let me push this back. Those hurricane watches, you're also under storm surge watches. So if I remove that, a hurricane watch is more significant than a storm surge watch. So watch this. If I remove the hurricane watches, boom, all of a sudden the whole area now has storm surge watches. So keep that in mind, that a hurricane watch is more substantial than a storm surge watch. I just realized I had that. If the track shifts further north, will Houston, Texas is a catastrophic 4 or slow down dramatically? Again, I can't really tell you that, but if the more northeast it moves, the better opportunity it will have. The better opportunity it will have to strengthen and intensify and, be more unpredictable and ridiculous and more of a shocker. Holy crap, it's almost midnight. I gotta get off of here, y'all. I gotta get off of here. I have a long day tomorrow. I gotta be up at 8 o'clock. I've had a rough day today, so we're gonna head off here in about 10 minutes or so. Whether it's social, I don't even use that anymore. And on TikTok, I'm very inactive. I don't post on TikTok. I gave up on that, honestly. Well, no, I didn't give up. I just stopped posting. I didn't find it fun anymore, so I quit. I ain't doing something if I don't like it. Let's see. We're getting a tropical storm warning. Just prepare for tropical storm impacts. Follow your local National Weather Service for more information on that. You always want to be tuning in very frequently to the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service because they give you the most frequent updates. My information is not only both from the National Weather Service and Hurricane Center. I get a bunch of data, man. I go through the CPC, the Weather Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center, climatological models, ensembles, deterministic model runs, the current conditions, the analysis. I mean, I go through everything to compile what I think about hurricanes and severe weather events. But most of the time, most of the time, I just uh, simply, what you call it, look at the SPC and the National Hurricane Center. So yeah, let's see here. Give me just a moment. Okay. Welcome to the internet. Yeah, TikTok is not a good way for updates. So, and be careful who you watch on YouTube here too. Yeah, I'm not a meteorologist and I'm not degreed, so that's why I always tell you guys to seek official information. But a lot of the times, what I tell you is what they're forecasting, and then I just kind of give my input on it. So, yeah. Sorry, I got completely distracted, y'all. I do that very frequently while I'm live. So I appreciate y'all being here. Like I said, we're gonna start wrapping it up. We almost reached 2,000 people today. Yeah, I try to watch my thumbnails too. Thumbnails are the number one thing that's fussed at with weather YouTubers. I try to keep them. I always keep them accurate. I always keep them accurate. Always. Let me just show you what I was. The thumbnail was today. So the thumbnail today was simply the, which, my word, this thing's gotten even, it's moved slightly to the, a lot northeast. This thing's in Mississippi? Yeah. Yeah, the cone moved completely northeast. Freaking Catman's inside the cone of uncertainty. Is there really a need for the cone of uncertainty to be that large? My word. Well, my thumbnail is inaccurate because it's not big enough. My thumbnail isn't big enough to what we're forecasting now. My thumbnail fits completely inside this whole cone here. So I could have fixed that thumbnail and made it more larger to attract more people, but yeah, that's the new update. So but still, we're forecasting Cat 1. That's what you see on the thumbnail. The C1 is a Category 1 hurricane. Tropical storm, we're forecasting that. And then over land, it's a tropical depression. So there's nothing inaccurate on that thumbnail at all. So, yeah. So y'all, we are gonna conclude here. We're getting very close to the end. I'm gonna go ahead and end y'all. I was just kind of waiting for that time to creep up on me. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in, especially the mods mod and chat. But every last one of you guys, I really appreciate it. Keep in mind, just stay tuned to the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service. Those are the two main things. If you click on this channel, you're getting my opinions and what I think is going to happen. And I also compile that, like I said, with the National Hurricane Center. If they're calling for a tropical storm or a Cat 1, you're not going to see me call for a Cat 5. I'm going to follow Almost exactly what they're following, what they're saying, but again, it's my job to give you the input of it, what I think about it, show you what the officials are saying too. So, just keep in mind, like I said, I'm not degreed or anything, and I never will claim to be. So I just appreciate all you guys coming in here. I've been studying this stuff for over 3 years now, so I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know how to forecast, but I'm still not degreed. So, I don't leave here. Please don't leave here thinking there's going to be a Cat 5. Okay, just stay tuned to the National Hurricane Center. They update every 3 to 6 hours, so just keep an eye on them the most. They're the professionals. They've been doing this for decades. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go get some rest, and I will see you guys in Sunday's live stream. Maybe tomorrow night, but definitely Sunday's live stream. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics, and